Marky Worthington Podcast all day.
All day.
Dream by night.
Don't buy me a drink. Just give me $10.
All day.
Go down to the strip club with your floppy disk and turn it into a hard drive.
Yeah, right. You'll get fucking thrown out by Big Tony.
We're here to name names and make people feel more ashamed for shit that they're not proud of.
Don't blow it. Keep it simple. Count your money.
No, whatever it is.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Marky Worthington Comedy Podcast. This is episode 93 with the international comedian that's coming to the basement this month. It is Sam Tallent. Hey, how you doing?
Oh my God, it's such an honor to be here talking to the king of the capital of Australia's comedy scene. Thank you, Marky, for having me. You were just telling me how everyone who listens to this podcast is a wanker and a cunt, and I appreciate you being so candid with me initially.
Well, I was going to edit that part out, but now just for everyone's sake at home, I'm going to leave that little, just a little sample, all right? I get people come to open mics but don't go to ticketed gigs because they prefer to watch a joke in the making than... That's the sort of cunt fans that I get. Anyway. So we've just come back from a sample of me saying that this crowd is all wankers and super into all of their comedy and everything like that. And just for your sake, I'll just say the word cunt now, cunt, and edit that in over the part where I said that they're good people. And then
please do. And it's also, I made it less than 30 seconds into an Australian podcast before I said cunt, because you guys can say it all you want down there. It's celebrated. It's one of the most charming aspects of your guys' culture is the insane gibberish you pass off as communication. Like pure drongo. When I found out about drongo, dude, oh my Lord, I said it way too much. And then at the end of my time there, people were like, yeah, so no one really says that anymore. That was like our dads would say drongo. Then there was something about spiders. There was some spider slang that I loved. Anyway, I love Australia. You guys are a wild bunch. I've never been to Canberra, the capital.
That's it. Well, hey, you're talking to the fucking king, apparently. So
that's what you told me to call you. So I'm just following orders. You said that you didn't go to bed because you were hosting your mic late, and then afterward you were busy counting money until the sun came up. So I don't want to piss off the Lord, you know. I'm lying, listeners. Marky's been nothing but sweet.
That's fucking hilarious.
It's your shoulder, Marky. No. And it's so nice of you to meet me in this American style diner. I appreciate it.
I know, man. You know how it is with my theme show. So I've actually done. Hang on, my webcam's all fucking fogged up here because the only time to get you on the show for me was 6 a.m. my time.
And I appreciate you doing that. It's also the American Independence Day, the 4th of July right now, and I am blowing that off. So hopefully I don't get tried for treason.
I'm glad that we're able to find a day that matched on both of our calendars. And it's so funny because I already spent my 4th of July running an open mic, as we mentioned before. And then I get to relive your 4th of July passively through you as well. So that's like two 4th of Julys, one in person and one externally, which is awesome.
This one, it goes so deep. It's just such a labyrinth of confusion when you talk to people in Australia. Due to the time change, you're in the future, I'm in the past. What do you know that I don't?
Well, my 4th of July was really good, so hopefully yours is too. Before you mentioned the diner, I need to do this. So I specifically got these. It is actually a diner people can visit. It's in downtown Detroit. I actually got these from I think they were trying to flog it at some point, and I found photos on their website. So if people like the fucking diner, this is an actual thing. I wanted to make it look like it was a spot that you could still go to and not like some AI generated fucking thing.
Oh yeah, man. It looks like the milkshakes are served in a silver tin. It looks like there's a bunch of Greek guys in the back waiting to finger the waitresses. It's very accurate to my experience going to American diners. So again, so hospitable. Thank you, Marky.
And a lot of I'm going to put in a caveat, I don't know, whatever the fuck it is. Let's just say a warning. All right, you're going to learn something about us, the Australian language that you mentioned before. If I don't know a word, I'll replace it with a swear word.
Sure.
So I'll just curse. Like if I can't work out a word, I replaced with fuck sometimes. So when I'm on stage and I have to like maybe clean it up, I've done a couple of, those dreaded while the sun's still up gigs that you get when you if you remember back to when you were coming up and used to just, take a dive on gigs that were within your country before you had to travel overseas to take dives on gigs.
Yeah, dude, I remember we used to do we call them colleges or universities here. I think you call them tutelage homes in Australia, but yeah, so we used to have to do college gigs, and you'd go in the middle of the day and they would just set you up in like the student union, which I think you guys call the food basket. Anyway, it's like a cafeteria. And we would just set up like in the middle of the day, and kids are studying, as you guys say, taking knowledge. And we would just interrupt them as they're studying, and no one wanted to listen to us or put their ears on it, as you guys would say. So it was nuts, man. And I do not miss them. But back in the day, they paid a lot of money, as you guys call it, seaweed. I could do this bit all day. I don't know if it's working, but yeah, I do not miss performing during the daytime. It was not good.
Oh, the fucking best part about that entire thing is I've got this set up in video record, like in the video mode, where if I'm talking, my screen takes preference. So
Yeah.
I've learned over the years to just, and when I say years, I mean the last 2 months.
Wait, you've done 92 episodes in 2 months?
No, I've done 3 video episodes in the last 2 months.
Moving on up, Marky. Look at you go.
Or as you call them, podcasts. So what would happen is I would usually have it in the forefront, or as you would call it, foreskin, and then the is this the quickest anyone's ever stole your bit? So then
we call it riffing, man. And you're doing it. I was in the driver's seat and you were in passenger, and now we did a Chinese fire drill and you took over.
You leaned down to pick up a joint, and I just grabbed the wheel to avoid a head-on collision.
That's right, man. Yeah, you're a great navigator. I love it.
Yeah, well, that's I'm emceeing my own podcast, and I'm still driving it into the fucking table drain, or as you call it, highway.
Table drain.
Yeah,
What the fuck is that?
Yeah, so the table drain is kind of like the gutter next to the road.
Table drain?
Yeah.
You're kidding.
No shit.
Oh my god, that's so unnecessarily long and stupid, and also doesn't describe at all the thing you would think a table drain is. Oh, I cannot wait to get down there and just let my tongue take the night off. Go ahead, Marky, take it away.
Yes. So my favorite part about it was I was conscious not to laugh too loud, because then my screen would pop up in front of yours, and then anyone watching would not be able to see you do that whole bit.
Well, anyone watching right now should probably be tried for bestiality, because there's no reason to watch us at all unless you're into like a very specific type of man.
Well, I use the hashtags to my advantage. You got to do what you got to do to get viewers, but make sure to subscribe to the OnlyFans premium to get the full version of this. No, but anyway, the thing that I loved about that is I was conscious not to talk to bring my screen in front of yours, and in true comedian form, at every riff, you looking down to see whether I was reacting to what you were saying, but then it didn't seem like I was laughing as loud as I should have been. So the references got more and more obscure to the point where I had to let in on the insides behind the workings of the podcast.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you explained why you weren't laughing. That makes me feel a lot better. I'm on here. I'm trying to sell tickets, Marky. I'm trying to get all these people to come and see me there in Canberra. Is that how you say it, or do you guys say it weird like every other fucking city in Australia?
Oh, we call it a lot of people say Canberra, or
Okay.
like they sort of like prolong it, turn it into like two words.
Canberra.
Yeah, just it's difficult to tell people how to say something that I say pretty much every day.
Well, they just get rid of the R's everywhere else in Australia. There's no R's allowed in the words.
It's the opposite to Boston.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, bingo.
Like they took all the R, so we had to say less of it. I actually had trouble when I was a kid. I had a speech impediment where I would like have like the lazy R. I'd do it with a W, like like wabbit and all that sort of shit.
Me too. I had the same thing.
And I remember I had like a speech. Okay, here we go. This is where I tell you about my life on your episode of the podcast.
Please, inform me.
So I had a speech therapist who would go through basically at the start of every lesson would go through the alphabet, and then we would choose a word for each letter. A, apple, and then I get to B, and she goes, "All right, now what for B?" And I just went, "But," and she
Great.
goes, "No, we're looking for nouns." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is a noun."
But is in fact a noun. Was she thinking about the conjunctive but?
There we go. This is why we've got a writer on the show, because don't need to go into depths of explaining this joke here, this story here.
I think this pod should be mostly Marky explains why it was funny or why he wasn't laughing. That should be the whole episode.
So yeah, and then I fully got schooled for the rest of the lesson about how I'm not meant to be saying words like "but" as the noun and not. Yeah, and
but then when you got to C and you said "cunt," no one was mad at you because it was an Australian school. Excuse me, tutelage hall.
Yeah, it's fucking. Look, I didn't want that punchline. I'm glad you seen it there. You picked it up and you just ran with it. Just like again, you've taken the wheel back again. We're back on the highway and we're scooting along.
Yeah,
out of the table drain and onto the fucking freeway.
Table drains. I mean, and that's the thing is like that's not going to be the dumbest Australian lingo that I hear. I mean, sure, Americans just as guilty, and I might sound like I'm deriding your guys' evocative choice of language, but I really think that it's really tough to say. But man, Australia stole my heart last time I was there. And I also shit the bed very bad in Melbourne. Literally, not figuratively. I floated my bed with my own dung after drinking like 1 million fucking VBs and going to Hungry Jack. So hopefully I won't recreate that.
Do you know the story about Hungry Jack's versus Burger King, right?
No, I do not. Why would I know that, Marky? Why the hell would I know that? I'm an American citizen.
Because I thought, well, dude, don't fucking. What do you call me from a diner? What are you, professional? You like go into a diner and just give me a quick call? Like, there's hardly anyone there. What is this dead shit town? If I can see one person in the fucking mirror in your background, and all I do, although I know it's a still image, is wait for them to turn because I'm so desperate for attention.
Well, they were so upset that I brought my microphone and podcasting equipment in here, but luckily, I tipped them off in American brand cigarettes, so no one's mad at me. But yeah, it was a tough sell initially.
I'm glad you were able to barter your way in with what you will probably find out when you come to Australia, if you smoke, is the best price for cigarettes in the world versus all the cheap third world countries. But for example, our taxes are so high on tobacco that
I know.
Yeah.
I was trying to buy packs of cigs there. It was terrible. Also, beers are expensive. That's why you guys go to Bali and terrorize those poor people and buy all your cigarettes and rape their women, I assume.
You call them, do you call cigarettes butts? I've heard a few people in podcasts they're like, I'm going to go smoke a butt.
Yeah, I would never do that because I'm not a 1930s gangster. But yeah, that is a option. Have a cig, burn one down. I don't smoke anymore, but when I
Yeah.
was there, I tried to bring cigarettes to Tim Dillon, who I was opening for, and I could not get them through customs because you guys don't want anyone saving money when they have a couple cigs.
I actually heard that I heard Paul Verzi call them butts on a podcast.
Yeah. It's a real New York thing.
Yeah, okay, cool. What was the you're steering this podcast now. Where were we going? Where was I going with that last riff? Oh, that's right. Someone that wouldn't like that is probably my speech therapist. She would hate that people call them that. They would probably spend I'd say about half an hour explaining why you can't call them that.
Marky, I'm so glad you brought it back to that great bit from earlier. I was very concerned that would just die on the vine, but yes, your speech therapy teacher from 43 years ago would be mad about people calling cigarettes butts. Now, my issue with the W and the R was I don't know if you guys have the X-Men down there. I'm not talking about the transgender community. I mean the mutants. And again, not this isn't good. Anyway, there was a very prominent X-Man who had adamantium claws, and his name was, you might remember, Marky. You look like you spent some time indoor recesses. What do you think?
Wolverine.
There you go. But as a boy, I would say Wolverine, and my mom thought it was a funny party trick to make me say that in front of her friends and family. Sam, what's your favorite X-Men? Wolverine. That's my boy. That's my special boy. So yeah, me, obese at 4 years old, already like 5'2", about 180 pounds, just in the living room wearing ill-fitting clothes. Wolverine, mommy, Wolverine. My mom nodding, having another vodka cranberry. Those were the days, man. Too bad they fixed me.
Holy fuck. I forgot the person that said this, but they said that there's two types of people, those with good childhoods and comedians.
Hey, no, man, I had a blessed childhood. I mean, my mom was wicked funny. That is a funny thing to do to a fat boy, is make him say a word he can't say in front of a bunch of adults. That's a funny bit. Luckily, I was able to process it as such and not hold on to resentment. I mean, she's dead, so I got the last laugh, but otherwise, she had a good run.
I definitely understand that fucking like great upbringing, but still like can draw on random experiences. Like when people tell me, open micers tell me about like a shitty, upbringing or whatever, I'm like, oh yeah, you'll be able to draw from that. I'm thinking to myself, but then really I think, well, I had a decent upbringing, but I'm still able to like pull up random shit. Like, sometimes it's external, like people at school that fucked with me or whatever. It's like, it's never just fucking all aces.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look like if you lived in America, you might walk into a high school with an automatic weapon, but luckily you guys don't have that problem down there anymore. Way to go.
Exactly. That's the thing. We did the thing where we went too fucking hard, too fucking early. We did the equivalent of the person that drinks too hard on the 4th of July and doesn't make it to the fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, as soon as people started shooting up the place, someone in Australia went fucking apeshit, took advantage of that, and went super hard and shot up way more than anyone should on the first ever mass shooting. And the government was like,
your first mass shooting,
no
you should start off with 3 people, maybe 4. Do it in a park so people have places to run. Don't do an enclosed space. I mean, that guy in New Zealand, he really went for the brass ring, and I'm glad they got his ass, because that was, I mean, it's big news when something happens in New Zealand and it makes it to America. That was fucked, man.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about New Zealand? Is there like a rivalry there? They can't compete with you.
No, it's actually pretty good. Do you know, I think it's because we're so close together and there's not much around us. We feel more like we're both sort of, it's us versus everyone else more so. There's more rivalry. there's more rivalry, I think, between Australia and New Zealand versus other countries. It's like one of those things where it's like if we are in a sporting event or something and we get knocked out, but New Zealand's still in it, we're kind of hoping that they win, so that then
really?
at least one of us gets through to the finals or whatever.
Yeah, it's like hopefully someone gives a shit about this part of the world, and if it can't be us, it should be New Zealand. That's sweet of y'all. Yeah, man.
If you want to support someone that gives a shit about this side of the world, make sure you buy tickets to Sam Tallent's gigs.
I give a shit, man. I come down there. I have a nice time. I've only been down there once, man, but God, I was smitten. To the point where I'm bringing my wife this time. I'm like, you got to see this place. Everyone's really hot, present company excluded. It's just like a bunch of babes constantly. The fellas, the ladies, the food's amazing. I mean, everywhere I went was just like right by the water somehow. Yeah, you guys got it figured out. I think it's because you guys are so far away from the rest of, I don't want to say the white world, but what are we doing, Marky? You're able to do your own thing down there, and I like that.
The main reason that everything you've seen was by the water is because there's nothing really else. So if it's not by the water, it's just mostly the whole middle part of Australia. People live there, but it's not populated very much. Like it's yeah. So like most of the big places are by the water. So if you're visiting Australia, usually you're in a spot near water because it's along the coastline.
I'm not doing the outback. What am I, Chris Franklin?
Huh? Yeah, hey.
How's that a reference for y'all?
Or there's an Australian comedian, Heath Franklin, that dresses up like Chopper Reed and does RSL clubs and shit.
He dresses like Chopper?
Yeah. There's this guy called Heath. He's kind of a legend in Australia. His name's Heath Franklin, and he dresses up like Chopper Reed and does Chopper Reed character pieces.
Holy shit, dude! Chopper. That you're talking about the crime film that we saw, right? Dude,
yeah.
That guy was real too, right? He wrote a book and shit.
Yeah, I actually did a podcast with a guy that met Chopper Reed when he was alive.
No way.
Yeah, so one of my buddies, Trent Shepherd, he was in Melbourne one night, and he went down there with a buddy to watch. They have car races down there, like just sort of like our version of NASCAR. Yeah. And his buddy, who was sharing the hotel with, was had been chatting to one of the flag girls, and he was like, "Hey, bud, like this thing's looking pretty good with this girl. Do you mind if I have the hotel room for a couple of hours, and then you come back maybe after 10 o'clock?" And he was like, "Hey, man, yeah, you take your time. I'm going to give you the hotel," because they split in the hotel room. Yes. So he goes, "All right, man. Well, I'll go make myself busy. I'll be back after 10. He goes out. He just stumbles on this small little bar in a suburb of Melbourne. And he's like, "Hey, I'll fucking kill a few hours at this spot." So he goes in there. It's like a small bar, no taps, just a fridge of cans of beers and pre-made spirits with cola. Yeah. And he sits down and says, "Hey, can I grab a beer?" And the guy goes, "Yeah, no worries." Charges a ridiculous amount for this beer, and he looks over, and Chopper Reed was at one of the only other people in the bar next to him. And he goes, looks over, "Are you're Chopper Reed?" And he looks back and goes, "Hi." And he goes, yeah, can I get you a beer?" He goes, "Hey, mate, you keep the beers coming and you can stay as long as you want." So he ended up feeding him beers until 2 a.m. When this bar shut. They shut with them in it. He goes, and that
probably ended up costing him $3,000 based on the beer prices down there.
Absolutely. And this was more expensive than normal. So so it was like, if a normal place is doing them, and remember, this is like in the early 2000s, and beers were probably around like $4 or $5 at most up. Like we're talking at this place, it's like, all right, most places are 4 or 5. You're looking at 6, 8 here, right? Like, so he hangs out with him, hears the stories, he like keeps the stories coming till 2 a.m., goes back to the hotel room, chick's gone. They're all gone. He tells his buddy and he goes, "Oh yeah, I heard about that place. Chopper Reed actually owns that bar."
Yes. I was hoping that there would be. I was hoping this guy got scammed somehow. Yes. Good work, Jumper.
Look,
It's
I
cool.
just
It's cool
summarized
that
the whole podcast into one short story and just blew it off. Took his credit for it.
Oh, that's okay. I like that. That's
Yeah.
what living is, man. It's like it's very nice that you put so much respect on his name by saying his last name too. That was Eric Bana in the movie, right?
Yeah, and I've seen
Australian?
videos. Yeah, I've seen
Whoa.
videos of them hanging out together because Eric Bana hung out with Chopper Reed for a couple of weeks to learn his character.
Wow. There's so many secret Australians, man. Eric Bana, secret Australian. Margot Robbie, secretly Australian. They don't let us know this stuff.
I did a podcast with Doug Stanhope, and I accidentally referred to Margot Wallenberg as Margot Robbie, and I was referencing it. And do you know who Margot Wallenberg is?
No.
Okay, so it was someone that regularly was on. Oh, not regularly, but a few episodes on Stanhope's podcast. She was the real estate agent that sold Stanhope his house in Bisbee.
Okay, yeah.
And she's like in her 80s, tall redhead with like polyps on her voice box, so she sounds deeper than Chad Shank. And so, and if for people listening, Chad Shank's another regular on Stanhope's podcast with a really deep voice.
He looks like you, but sounds like a trash compactor.
Yeah,
or as you guys call it, a garbage muncher.
He's got a kind of like more of a chalky voice because it's a bit more weathered.
It's down here, but not like this at all.
It's kind of like you're listening to the Doug Stanhope podcast.
You're listening to the Doug Stanhope podcast.
But you're not right now. You're listening
right now.
No. And if you thought you were, you need to go to a doctor because you've been in this for about a half hour now and you've been confused for that long. But yeah, Margot Robbie, she's one of your guys.
Yeah, she's one of ours. And
one of the best there is.
There's a deep cut video. If you haven't seen it, I'll send it to you after this because it is cannon fodder for anything to do with Chopper Reed. This video, not a lot of people have seen it because they didn't air the full version on live TV. It's not until now that it's come out on YouTube. Where what happened was Chopper Reed, the actual Chopper Reed, in '93, he moved to Tasmania because it had the Slactus gun laws. So they went and did a news interview with him at his property in Tassie. And we shorten shit. And he, Melbourne Cricket Ground, MCG, the G. That's the evolution of the Australian shortening. It's the G is probably bigger than MCG as far as shortening, but it's about how easily it rolls off the tongue.
Sure.
But anyway, the interviewer is down at his bush property, and there's got like a sort of like a farmhand down there with him, just in the background of the interview. And Chopper Reed says to the farmhand, "Do you want to see how good of a shot I am? Go and stand over there and hold a bottle out." So he's holding like a long neck bottle. That's like it's basically two. It's basically like a large bottle of beer. It's like two beers in one bottle.
Marky, I know what a long neck is, man. Thank you. Yeah, I'm familiar. I'm with you. I'm with you the whole way on this.
I don't know how many people are going to listen to this. It might go international to an audience that doesn't know what a fucking long neck is. Anyway,
I think a long neck is a universal measure of beer.
Okay, well,
yeah.
I think sometimes terms I think are only Australian are actually international.
You guys have had a massive impact on the world culture. Don't underestimate what you guys have done.
Here's a deep cut on long necks. There's
Well, hey,
used to
Let's finish the story of the guy
This isn't how it fucking
shooting.
works, dude.
Okay, I'm sorry. Take it away, Marky.
Because do you know what'll happen? I'll try and say this after, and you'll be like, "Yeah, that'll fucking die on the vine." But anyway, so I got to strike while the iron's hot, Sam Tallent. So
Yes.
the there was once a bigger beer than a long neck here in Australia, and it was called a Darwin Stubby. And
That sounds like a chode.
It is like a 40, but bigger. It's about a gallon in one bottle.
Whoa, that's too much. I mean, and I'm saying that as a guy who has a Darwin chubby. On my,
You think that's funny? You think that's funny? You should hear the cunt say Wolverine.
I'll be doing all these bits. I'll do the Darwin chubby bit. I'll say Wolverine. We have 40 ounces here. That's like the biggest bottle of beer you can get, unless you get like a growler, which is like a gallon or a half gallon.
Yeah, so we just have biggest we have is a long neck at the moment.
But it can't be trusted. I get it. You're animals.
It used to be very common in the shearing, like sheep shearing trade. People used to love the Darwin Stubby. The role was to see if you could drink one on the way home, like after your day's work.
God, I love you guys.
my old man said that one time they went to pick this dude up the next morning to take him in, because my old man used to be a shearer. He went to pick this guy up to take him to work in the morning, and he didn't answer the door, so they go in, and he was passed out in the bathtub from the night before, still water ice cold, and like 5 Darwin Stubbies next to the bathtub.
5.
And he just fucking got up, chucked on his clothes, and went into work. Like, he just was like, "Oh fuck, sorry, I slept in," and just treated it like a normal day.
Holy shit, that's so much beer. I mean, I've had like 30 12-ounce cans of beer is like the most that I can really like quantify having in one go. But 5 gallons of beer. You guys are just built different down there.
It's what happens when you get a continent, fill it with convicts, and then watch what happens.
Well, yeah, I mean, you guys, you're effectively like if a fucking like 5-year-old, ran a country. It's like all meat pies and just go swimming all the time. But what was it? Oh yeah, my favorite bit that I learned from Australia is you guys had that prime minister who would just chug beers all the time.
Yeah.
Skull it. Okay, skull it. That's like my favorite thing that I found about when I was down there, dude. And he's just this old man who like looks like, he doesn't know where his family is. He looks clearly like he has dementia. Then he just had like a cricket match and people give him a beer and he smiles all big and downs it. And everyone's like, 4 more years. That's what I want in an elected official.
The best part is, even in his later years, he was still sculling beers, but he had better cognitive function than your current prime minister.
Well, we call him a president over here, but that's one of those lost in translation things. Yeah, no, our guy is a joke, man. He's just bumping his head off of stuff. He doesn't know where he is half the time. It's
Dude,
crazy.
I fucking lost it when I tried to say cognizant. Like, as soon as I started saying that, I'm like, I fucked this already. But
that's why it's a two-man dance right now, man. I'm leading because you slipped a little bit during the bow, but that's okay. I got you.
Hawkey only passed away, I think, 2018. And you can actually get his family took over his brewing company. They were going to shut it down when he died, but he actually has it. There's a Hawke's Ale brewing company,
what?
And it's got his photo on the can. Yeah.
Oh my god, this guy rules.
Yeah. Yeah, so he does a couple of types of beer. You can get like lagers and pale ales and shit, and it's all Hawke's Brewing Company. It's got Bob Hawke on the front.
If Joe Biden did that, it would be an adult diaper brand, and it would just have his face right on the ass. I mean, it was nuts here, dude. Because like we had Trump for 4 years, and like every day, all you heard about was the president, and then Biden, kind of limped his way into the presidency, and now you don't hear anything because they're just hiding him from us because he's confusing the sun for the moon and sniffing kids' heads.
Yeah. The best part about the best quote from Bob Hawke was when the Australian cricket team, did you hear about when he basically declared like a public holiday there on the spot? You ever get someone that just has too many beers and they're just like, fuck it, drinks on me. And you just kind of know that they're just like kind of just having a bit too much fun and just saying whatever the fuck they think will make everyone happy. Oh shit, that's still muted, dude.
Sorry, dude. It was like the America's Cup where you guys won the America's Cup, right? And he was like, if you expect anyone to come into work tomorrow, you're a bad boss.
He said anyone that expects you to come into work tomorrow is a bloody bum.
I mean, and just with that, he's elected 4 more times. I mean, that's 15 years of just good rapport that he's built with the good people of Australia.
And a brewing company.
And a fucking brewing company.
Yeah. So Chopper Reed gets his mate to stand out there with the long neck.
Yes.
See you watch this fucking ship sail into the night.
I was fine. I was the lighthouse. I was waving you to the shore.
And I just looked up and I said, I think I might fuck around out here for a little bit and I'll let you know when I need that rock.
Yes, you did. I remember that direct quote. Yes, Marky. Okay, Chopper Reed. He has his slave. He's holding a beer.
Yeah. Speaking of hitting the rock, let's get back onto Chopper Reed.
Did Chopper smoke rock?
No, I don't know. He
better watch out. His ghost will get you.
He's renowned for actually more so robbing from drug dealers. So I feel like although he didn't smoke it, he definitely fucking benefit from people that did.
Oh, yeah.
He was like the Australia's modern day version of Robin Hood.
I love it. I love it.
So basically what happened was he says to the young farmhands, go out and hold that bottle. And then Chopper Reed grabs a rifle, turns and shoots the bottle. And the chick says, before he shoots, are you a good shot? Because like this kid's holding this bottle out. It's like William Tell, but not on the head. He's not that insane.
Yeah.
And then he shoots it and he goes, I'm a bloody good shot. And then she says, I notice you're not like Mickey Mouse with your ears. Can you explain the story behind that? And he goes, oh, you're a cheeky devil having a go at my ears. Well, I bet if I knock your kneecaps out now, we're entering Logie territory. And she sort of gets a little uncomfortable. And then and this is the part that didn't air. He pulls out a sidearm, which is a revolver, and he goes, have you ever played Russian roulette? And he spins the revolver and then holds it outstretched to her head. And he goes, you're feeling lucky? And she goes, I don't know that I want to play. So he holds it on his head, click, and he goes, your turn, points it at her head, and it goes click. And then he goes, suppose it's your lucky day, and then laughs. And that actually happened.
What the fuck? That was in old Hobart Town?
Well, that was in I think off near Launceston. So it's like the northern part of Tassie, but yeah.
I mean, that's pretty good for me to know that Hobart's on Tasmania. Can we
it's
a foul ball?
Yeah, I'll count that. That's still a point. Okay, to the ref now. Make sure Sam gets an extra point. I might have fucked up with that shitty callback. He knows what a long neck is. Okay, we're all square. Play on.
Play on. Let me ask you this. When I'm there in Australia in August performing stand-up comedy, will Australian rules football be going on?
I think they just had the playoffs. I'm not sure. Hang on. I don't,
because I want to go really bad. What a great game that is. Because what do you guys have? You have like Australian rules football. You have cricket. You have, is it a tortoise or is it a turtle? That's a fun game. You've got Skull, the Darwinian Chubby. Those are the only games I really know about down there.
Well, we used to have for Russian roulette with Chopper Reed, but since he passed, we've had to change that out. Actually, the playoffs, well, our version of the playoffs, we call it grand final. the 30th of September. So it'll be leading up to playoffs. So
Whoa. We gotta
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
Marky. We gotta go.
There's a few. There's a bit of a divide in the football scene here in Australia. Like there's a bit like they're not as small. They're equally sized pretty much as AFL and the NRL, and so I was going to liken it to the like America's League and the NFL or whatever. There's like two competing football.
Oh yeah, there's the USFL, which is a total joke that no one gave a shit about and just hemorrhaged about $50 million. And then there's the only game in town, the National Football League.
Yeah,
and yeah, I was there, dude. When I was there, I bought a Richmond Tigers hat because I thought it was cool.
Yeah,
and people wanted to burn me alive. They're like, "What are you doing with that hat? That team sucks. How dare you?" And I was like, "I don't know, dude. It was gray and yellow. I thought it was a neat color scheme. I learned my lesson."
It's a bit like the story that Bill Burr talks about with Patrice O'Neill. He's like, sometimes because he's like, dude, that guy's wearing a fucking Bulls jersey, and he's just like, yeah, man, you got to understand. Sometimes he's only wearing it because it matches his sneakers.
Well, also, if you're a big fat guy like me and Patrice, it's also a matter of it was the only quadruple X that they had. It's like this is the only one they had to fit me, so of course I had to buy it. I'm not a fucking. When it came to hats, there was a Richmond Tigers hat, and then there was like a big Boonie hat. Because I wear like an 8.5 size head, so let me preemptively apologize to everyone for owning a Richmond Tigers hat.
Oh, that's why your mum used to give you shit. You fucked up her pussy so bad coming out.
I was a waterhead as well. Yeah, I ripped her in half from taint to belly button, which is weird because I was such a big baby. But my dad's pushing a Darwinian chubby, and she sculled it, but somehow she still got pregnant. Now, I just
fucking vulgarly attacked you in the same way you get a heckler for yelling out. And I think at this point, 50 minutes in, have formed some sort of rapport, which I just really overstepped the mark there for a second.
No, Marky, you're my second in command when I come down to Australia. You're my only friend that I have. It's you and like Nick Cody and Jez Watts.
Awesome. Yeah, I haven't worked with like in person, met either of those two, but they've been really good to work with leading up to this tour. So that's been cool. I'm
so grateful. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to mention with sports jersey before we move on to the talking a bit more about the book. I am a massive John Candy fan, and I actually have a Cubs jersey because he wore one in the movie Uncle Buck, and I really like the look of it.
Yeah.
And I think I might wear that to open for you on the Canberra date because I fucking love that jersey, man. And also, if you look back through, he did a movie with Richard Pryor where they both were playing baseball, and he's Richard Pryor's wearing a Cubs jersey in that movie, which predated Uncle Buck. So there's like kind of this like linear storyline where you can see he does a movie with Richard Pryor's wearing the Cubs jersey, and then in Uncle Buck he's wearing one. So it's nearly like a flow-on storyline, which I find kind of cool. Like I said, I'm a big John Candy fan, so sometimes I go a little deep cut on shit, and people are like, "Yeah, dude, I haven't seen that movie since fucking like the 90s."
Oh, he's great and secretly Canadian. See what I mean? Another non-American that we've adopted as our own. Have you ever heard the story of how John Candy made it into Second City, the renowned improv training school in Toronto and Chicago?
No, I didn't hear how he made it into it.
All right, dude. So him and Dan Aykroyd are friends, and Aykroyd needs a ride to the audition. And Candy's like, man, I don't really want to go. And Aykroyd says, okay, well, there's free lunch if you go. Like, they serve free lunch. So Candy's like, all right, I'll get a free meal out of it. So they drive over to Toronto. They're doing the, Aykroyd goes into audition, and Candy's like, all right, I'm going to wait in the car. Let me know when lunch happens. So Aykroyd tells them, and then they're like, oh, I guess you only get free lunch if you audition. So Candy's like, all right, shit, I'm not doing anything. I'll audition. So he auditions for the free lunch. And then, lo and behold, makes the main stage cast for Second City, Dan Aykroyd does not, in fact, make the audition at all. So if it weren't for that free lunch that was offered, who knows if John Candy ever would have been a professional comedian.
Fuck yeah, what a cool story. Actually, here's a little bit behind the scene for the podcast fans as well that have made it this far. I have an upcoming interview with Chris Candy, John Candy's son.
Really?
On this show, yeah.
How come?
It's going to be.
Is he promoting his dates in Canberra?
No, so he's it's going to be the next episode. So this is episode 93. He's episode 94.
You're changing the name of the pod to Fat Guys Only.
Well, John Candy's son Chris is actually quite into his health and fitness, running and all that sort of shit.
God.
So
that pisses me off. His dad would be rolling over in that barrel.
The best it was good to be able to sort of get into some of the deeper cut John Candy stuff. So I've already pre-recorded that one. He was talking about how he was on set with a lot of the movies, because John used to bring the kids out and the wife and everything, a bit like how you're bringing your wife out to Australia. He used to bring the kids and wife onto sets just so that he didn't leave them at home while he was at work.
Oh my God, that's so sweet.
So he's got stories of hanging out with Macaulay Culkin and stuff when they were around the same age. So
damn,
yeah,
Macaulay Culkin was anyway. He was an American powerhouse. Now he like fucked off and lives in France.
As like there's another Australian actor that we can add to the list is distant relative Sam Worthington, who was in Avatar and a bunch of other
we don't care, Marky.
Terminator movie, whatever. Fuck
no.
it. We don't.
Sorry, buddy. We don't care. We're more, America's more Marky Worthington. We're more into that brand of the Worthington family.
Exactly. Well, that's why I seen a gap in the market. Once he disappeared from the limelight, I was like, now's my time to shine. Step over, cousin. Let the fucking Will Worthington shine here. What were you in, Terminator? What were you in, fucking Avatar? Bullshit.
Nobody saw Avatar. No one cares.
Dude, I've got a podcast nearing its 100th episode, and I've already had people like Sam Tallent and Doug Stanhope on this fucker. All right. Yeah. So what were you doing fucking nearly 6 years into your comedy career? Nothing. You wouldn't even be at the open mic level. You're basically the TikTok star of the fucking comedy scene. Move aside and let someone with real fucking life experience step in. Someone with a rolling R and a fucking W. Fuck yeah. I'll start saying Wolverine just because as a fucking, I couldn't even say it wrong. They fucked me up. I'm like Blanca in fucking Street Fighter, man. I know nothing else but how to say my R's properly because they just sat me in front of the screen, peeled my eyes open, and showed me all the things I was missing out on. Now I can't even bear to fucking say it wrong.
Like Blanca, what a deep cut. Yeah, it's like the Bourne Identity.
I only use that reference because the footnote in your book references the Bison quote, which coincidentally is one of my favorite quotes from a movie. And when I heard that, I was like, holy shit, someone else actually knows that quote.
Dude, that movie was so good as a kid. But then you watch it as an adult and you're like, how much did this movie cost? $40?
Yep.
How'd they pay for this? Did they pay for this in like Pepsi bottle caps? It's a real abomination. But as a young lad,
I think they spent all their money on Jean-Claude Van Damme and just realized that they had no money left for anything else.
Yeah, I mean, that guy who played Blanca, they actually had to dye his skin green, and he never recovered.
They actually had to show him scenes that gave him PTSD because it was cheaper than putting him in later.
Yeah.
It was easier to fuck with his mental health than it was for actually paying to do it as a special effect.
Yeah, they had to shatter his brain and his grasp on reality. But he won the Oscar. It really launched his career.
It killed Gomez Adams, unfortunately.
Yeah, Raul Julia.
Yeah, it's fucking he actually had to die in the end scene to save money.
Yes, that was his big send off. That was his Viking funeral. Do you
He's
just
like,
bury your dead in the ground down there? How's that work?
no, we just we get Chopper Reed to shoot him.
You couldn't get it out. You
I
got high on your own
fucking-
supply. Look at you.
Oh fuck, dude! I was just no, because the original thing that I was going to say is no, we just get a farmhand to throw him up in the air and Chopper Reed shoots him. But then I fucked up the delivery. The delivery in my head was better than the one that I actually gave you. I actually took the primo cream off the top of that joke and just gave you the shit.
I saw it. I saw your eyes light up, and then I saw you stumble across the finish line. But it's okay.
Oh fuck!
Oh boy.
Yeah, no. So we bury him, but we also there's a fellow open micer that has this story. He doesn't do this on stage. He spoke about this on the podcast, so I'm not burning material for those fanatics out there.
Yeah.
So he said that he has a friend that they were at the crematorium, but it was like booked up. Like the crematorium was just one appointment after the other. They give like a little wriggle room between each one to obviously burn the fucking body. But they were so booked up.
Is there just a series of catastrophes this week?
This wasn't recently. It might have been, I don't know, maybe there was just a good dose of heroin that came through the town just to wash away some of the driftwood. But what in the 90s there was a batch of heroin that came through Canberra that there was literally just dead people on the street. Like it really fucking separated the boys from the men. But actually during that pandemic, that was Canberra's real pandemic when that batch of fucking heroin came through. So and anyone that had a bit more stamina was able to hold for longer. For example, my buddy got held up at a bus station because he was doing fucking kung fu. Well, you know, like you just go along, you pay your $20 and some fucking sensei that that tends to prefer correcting the technique of the younger hot students and not the fat kid that can't say fucking Wolverine properly.
Yeah, exactly. Or he's way into that kid, and I'm like a delicacy to him. I'm like Turkish delight.
He's working up to you. He's like, let me chat to a few of these fucking gross 18-year-old chicks and I'll fucking work up to that Wolverine kid that can't that's wearing his dad's Hawaiian shirt.
Let me get that round mound of boy over there.
Why would you go for one set of tits when there's some kid there that's built like a giant tit?
Right. And also his are only going to get bigger. I mean, I was a real, my tits were at a 12th grade level when I was in 5th grade. So it was awesome.
You kicked off your training bra at the end of the day and you're like, fuck, that feels better.
Oh yeah, I ripped it in half.
With your adamantium claws, dude?
With my adamantium nipples. Get this out of here. Let me shred this thing. So wait, your buddy didn't die of heroin because he was at the dojo?
No, so he thought, I can defend against an attacker because I've done 3 months of fucking of self-defense. So there's some dude comes up to him and he's like just yelling at him. He's like, give me your fucking money. And he goes, not today, sir. And the guy just pulls out a fucking knife and looks him dead in the eye, this like fucking giant Sudanese guy. And he just looks back at him and he said all he can remember doing is like 100 push-ups at the start of every lesson, and he forgot everything he ever learned. So he pulled out his wallet and just fucking gave it to him, dude. He's like, I've done way too many push-ups and not enough actual self-defense to learn what to fucking do in this situation.
It's fun to go into crane position and then stare that guy down and then just go, never mind, here you go. My bank cards are in there, my home address. Here's my car keys. Thank you for your time, sir.
So it may have been around that time, but basically, if you watch me steer this back in, we're getting onto the crematorium. My buddy's walking out, and they were so busy that everyone was in the car park sort of after being shuffled out of the service. They instantly had the burner on, and there's black smoke just going up into the air.
Oh, my God.
And my buddy is just there with his friend who's supporting his friend at this funeral, and it was his grandfather's funeral. and he just taps his friend on the shoulder who's like facing towards the crematorium to try and distract him to get him into the car before he sees it. And he goes, "Oh, let's head off, buddy. Come on, let's go." And he just turns around, looks at the black smoke, hand out, reached up into the air, and goes, "Grandpa?"
I mean, I used to live across the alley from a crematorium in Denver, Colorado, and I don't remember it being black smoke. I remember it being like white smoke, like when the Pope was there. So maybe they were just burning a couch that day, or like, a bunch of throw pillows, or his grandpa had swallowed a bunch of plastics. Maybe he ate a bunch of bottles before he died. But black smoke is...
They didn't take out his plastic hips before they fucking
Yes,
burned him.
The pacemaker was still in there. Yeah.
They didn't have time to do any of that. Yeah, they just fucking... Like, if you worked at a crematorium and you had a bunch of garbage, though, wouldn't you just be like, "Hey, can I come in on the quiet day and just see if I could fucking get rid of some of this shit?"
Yeah, let me have the 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. on Tuesday, and I'll come in there. Right now, for you, would be the best time to burn garbage in the human body burner.
The best part is they still need to, like, it's set up to be a ceremony. So, like, the best thing is as you watch your fucking cum-stained couch just slowly go into
After the priest gives it the last rites. Yes.
He was the second one to splash on it that morning.
Of course, they love to splash, those guys.
All right. To get into the book, I'm going to read it. Now, I know that sometimes people get weird when they hear reviews on their books. I'm going to read you my review that I wrote on your book.
Okay.
I called it, and let me tell you whether you can find this from a from someone that wanted to be great with words. I wanted to prove to someone that may be reading this that I actually too can do comedy. I wrote "More Than One Talent" as the title.
Damn, dude. Straight to the top. You're going to get a BAFTA.
An absolute pleasure to listen to. Sam Tallent isn't just an amazing comedian for spoken performances, but an absolute wordsmith when it comes to written material too. Highly recommended.
Oh, Marky, that's very sweet of you. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. It's always nice when a comedian likes the book. You know what I mean? Because like you actually get what it's about.
It was such a great bonus to have so many of my favorite comedians voicing it as well, because I listened to the audio edition.
Oh yeah. It's fun to know who can read and who cannot, and you find out almost immediately.
I don't think I would have got the same out of it if I read it, because I'd be up to chapter maybe Tuesday. But I really enjoyed it, man. It was a crazy insight into how you can actually do more than 1 gig a week.
You guys got one a week there, dude?
That's about what Canberra runs, yeah.
Oh, damn. So Canberra is not like a metropolis?
It's thriving, but it's not a metropolis, unfortunately.
I don't know why. I thought it was like going to be huge because it's the capital of your great nation.
It's a common misconception. Our mayor was Chopper Reed, and we've been lost since he left us.
Like what happened with Jerry Springer in Cincinnati. I remember.
The bodies are piling up.
Yeah, well, you got to quit burning your trash, man. You got to use those receptacles for what they're for. Yeah, no, I remember. Fuck, 1 gig a week, and that's at the show you run at the Basement, right?
So there's multiple around town, but I've kind of taken over some of the monopoly of the open mic scene, because whenever there's a new bar in town or a spot that can do comedy, I'll hit them up and see if I can take over the open mic scene as best I can. I run 3 open mics a month myself, but there's a few others that I think there's 3 other rooms that regularly run as well. So like one of them isn't as regular as the others, but yeah, so basically there's 1 a week and 3 of them are mine.
Interesting. Well, that's good, man. You're making your own opportunities. That's what you got to do. And does I might be misinformed. Does Canberra have its own like comedy festival like all the other cities seem to have?
Yeah, I think we're one of the last ones to the game to get a comedy festival here in Canberra. It's around the same time as the other ones. It's kind of a bit of a circuit, and it's all towards that start of the year time. But I also think that we've probably got the smallest attributions to the scene, I guess.
Well, I mean, it's not the size of the dog, you know. Do you know comedian Monty Franklin from Australia?
No, and look, to be fair, I should know more comedians. I kind of live in my own little bubble and just reach out to I know more about New York comedians than Australian comedians.
I get that for sure. I don't really watch a lot of comedy. I ran into him at Rogan's Club, and he was telling me about the comedy festival circuit down there, and just how lucrative it is, and what a kingmaker it can be. Like if you have a good showing at one of those festivals, just the rest of your year is booked up from that. That seems like a pretty good system, man.
Yeah, it's good if you're good. My problem is I'm actually absolutely shit. And unfortunately,
Marky, you're not that bad. You're doing good,
dude. This is the best I've ever done. I'm glad it's recorded.
Bro, you're firing on all cylinders right now.
I'm firing on at least 6 of my cylinders, one for every hour that today's been up.
You need to go to bed after this. You need to go to bed and take a saltwater shower.
I have lived a full day, and it's 1 hour into it. But yeah, no, I think it can be beneficial. And look, there's a lot of talk in the Australian scene about how some people get favored over others. I'm sure it happens all over the world. They're like, sure. Oh yeah, that person's only big because they have a giant fucking TikTok following, or they have a big YouTube channel or whatever. Like, yeah. My style of comedy is a little bit like slower and less like fucking clips for YouTube sort of vibe. I'll have crowd work and stuff, which is good when you're there, but then you see the clip and you're like, I'm not fucking posting that. You can barely hear the fucking thing. So I'm nearly 6 years in now, and I'm still sort of tapping into that side of things. But for the most part, it's a good scene, and it will treat you well if you put in the work, and if you don't, then it fucking will kick you in the ass.
Well, I'm gonna be putting in all the fucking work I can, man, when I'm down there on August 7th. That's right, Canberra. I think it's a Monday.
Yeah, it's a Monday. It is the at the basement in Belconnen. I run out of the 3 I run 2 there, 2 open mics there. So I'm very familiar with the venue. And yeah, it's a really good spot to do comedy. I
think I'm taking a train ride there, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, nice. We're actually just gonna. That's something else that's been lost in translation. It was actually be running a train. Oh
no! Oh no! My wife's gonna be stoked, but I'm gonna be bummed.
Don't worry, man. We got a pile of fucking coldies to get through.
I can't wait to drink. What do you guys have? Like, is it 4X you have down there?
We have 4X. It's mostly a Queensland beer, but it's available for most of Australia.
It's like dog shit, but I liked it a lot.
Oh shit, that's another thing that's been lost in translation. When I said coldies, I meant the piling of dead bodies that Chopper Reed has fucking sent off.
Okay, well, I was worried that you were using a slur, so I just pretended like it meant beer.
No, yeah, I was talking about fucking
you meant
dead bodies.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Man, when you start thinking about Chopper Red, you cannot get through the punchline. Your eyes light up. With
this green screen behind me, it's hard not to think of Chopper Red. I nearly called him Chopper Green. I'm glad that you said it right.
Is it Red or Reed? I don't want to put any stink on the man's name.
It's Reed, yeah.
Fuck. We have to delete this whole thing.
I can't. It's the best I've ever done.
Dude, you nailed it, Marky. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks heaps for being on the show. And like you said, you got you put in your plugs. and you'll be here in Canberra, and you're part of an entire Australian tour. So if you want to get tickets for anywhere in Australia where Sam Tallent will be,
go to my
his
website, samtallent.com, Tallent, and all the links are up there. And you're on the shows. My wife will be there. She won't be wearing a bra. There's a lot of reasons to come to the show. All right, not just me and Marky.
That's right. That's the name of this episode. Me and Marky. It's
Me
like
and Marky.
Marley and me, but it's just funny.
Me and my best friend Marky Worthington will be at the basement in Canberra, guessing people's birthdays, August 7th. Come on out, man. You can follow me at Sam Tallent on Instagram, SamTallent. And if you do want to buy my book that Marky was so nice to plug, buy it off Amazon if you're down there, because buying from my website is a nice thing, but shipping is so expensive that I hate charging for what I have to charge.
Perfect. All right. Well, that wraps it up. Thanks heaps for being on the show.
Of course,
Cheers.
thank you.
Don't buy me a drink. Just name names.
Yes,
Yeah, right. Big Tony. You'll get fucking thrown
At
out.
a strip club with your floppy disk.
all day.
Make people feel shame for shit all day.
Don't blow
Turn it
it.
into a hard drive.
Yeah, right. You'll get fucking- We're here to
Keep it simple. Count your money.
that they're not proud of.
Just give me $10.
Hey, right.
Click.
Did you hang up?
No, I just said click.